Hello friends, in today's session we will understand the personal policies which are formulated to guide thinking and action in decision making, especially in HR department. Personal management is concerned with the procurement and maintenance of competent workforce and inspiring employees individually and in groups to give their most of realizing the organizational goals. So let us understand the definition. The dictionary meaning of policy is a planned action, and that plan is a policy. Policy making and planning are synonymous. According to the Flippo, a policy is a man-made rule of predetermined course of action that is established to guide the performance of work toward the organization objectives. It is a type of standing plan that serves to guide subordinates in the execution of their tasks. According to the Calhoun, personal policies constitute guides to the actions. They furnish the general standards or base on which decisions are reached. Their genesis lies in an organization's values, philosophy, concepts and principles. Policies are statements of the organization, overall purpose and its objective in the various areas with which its operation are concerned, personal finance, production marketing and so on. Let us understand now the aims and objective of personal policies, which we are going to discuss right now are to enable an organization to fulfill or carry out the main objectives which are laid down as the desirable of general employment policy, to ensure that its employees are informed of these items of policy and ensures their cooperation for attainment. It helps us to provide such conditions of employment and procedures to enable all the employees to develop a sincere sense of unity with the enterprise and to carry out their duties in the effective manner. The other aim is to provide an adequate, competent and trained personnel for all levels and types of management and motivate them. To protect the common interest of all parts of the organization such as management, employee and also recognize the role of trade union in the organization. It also aims to provide consultative participation by employees in the management of an organization and the framing of condition for this participation. To provide an efficient consultative services by developing management leadership which aims is high and guided by moral values. It also ensures the effective delegation of human relation aspects of personal function of line managers through discipline. To avoid the confusion or misunderstanding between the management and the workers, this is ensured by developing suggestion plans, joint management councils, work committees, etc. To provide security of employment to the workers, to provide an opportunity for growth within the organization to employees who are willing to learn and undergo training to achieve the future prospects. Personal policies aim to provide for the payment of fair and adequate wages and salary to the workers to ensure for efficient working of the undertaking. It aims to recognize the work and accomplishment of the employees by offering non-monetary incentives rewards. To create a sense of responsibility is also one of the aim of personal policy. Having discussed about this, let us understand the essential characteristics of sound personal policy. The main features of a good personal policy are: the statement of any policy should be definite, positive, clear and easily understood. It should be written. It must be reasonably stable and flexible, as it should be periodically revised, evaluated, assessed and revised. It must be supplementary to the overall policy of an organization and department. Policy should recognize, or it should be taking care of the desire of the employees. It should be formulated with the due regard for the interest of all the concerned parties, the employers, employees and the public community. It should be the result of careful analysis of all the available facts. It must provide a two-way communication system between management and employees. It must be supported by the top management and also receive the cooperation from the employees at the shop floor level and in the office. It should be progressive and enlightened and must be consistent with professional practice and philosophy. Having discussed the various aims and objectives of policy, let us understand the types of policies. Personal policies are classified. The number one is originated policies, which are established by the top management to guide executive thinking at various levels. Second, appealed policies are formulated to meet the requirements of particular situation which are not covered in the policies. These are modified or amended. The third one, imposed policies are formed due to the rules and regulations such as government, trade association and unions. General policies are those which are based on the basic philosophy of the organization and priorities of the top management for the achievement of goals and objectives. The fifth one is specific policies are those which focuses on specific decision like recruitment, compensation and negotiation, etc. The next one is written policies, which are ensures the behavior of the employees like discipline, dress code, dealing with the customers, etc. Friends, now let us understand what are the various factors which are influencing while designing the personal policy. The factors which determine the personal policy are the philosophy of the management, which influences the personal policy of the organization. This involves leadership, decision making, process, centralized or decentralized, structure of the organization, delegation, role of subordinates in the management. All these plays an important role in deciding the personal policy for the organization. The next one is type of workforce which has been employed at organization. While dealing with them, we need to understand the workforce needs which influence the formulation of personal policy. The next one is union objectives and practices. Role of union and their objectives are also important because they influences the personal policy. The bargaining capacity of the union, their pressure techniques, etc. required to be taken into account or consideration while framing the personal policy. The next one is financial capacity of the organization. Personal policies will cost money. These policies will be formulated after taking into the account of the financial position of the organization. This position is important as it helps to take decision like how much money will be spent on workforce, what will be the amenities offered to the employees. The next one is laws. Policies of an enterprise cannot violate the various labor laws which are implemented by the government. Policies should be framed by taking into consideration the provisions of various laws which are related to the personnel. Friends, personal policies are very important. They help us for giving the different advantages. So, let us understand the advantages of personal policies. Personal policies are the guidelines and provide many advantages to the personnel working at various levels. These advantages are delegation. It helps managers at different levels to act with the confidence to delegate the task and ensure the performance. The next one is decision making. A policy is a guide for a manager to take the decision. Every day the manager deal with the employees and they take decisions about their placement, promotion, training, etc. He will take decision as per the policy guidelines without consulting the superiors at every time. Policy helps manager in their day-to-day working, and that is what the policies are. The prompt action, wherever, whenever an action is required, it can be taken without any delay. The guidelines are available in the shape of a policy and decisions can be taken in that framework. Policies help us to avoid personal biases. A policy sets the limits beyond which a manager cannot go. It is used similarly in same situation at different times. There is a little scope for the personal bias because managers cannot go beyond the scope of a policy. It ensures the long-term welfare of the employees. The policies lay down measures to be undertaken for the welfare of personnel. Management cannot shirk the responsibility from providing amenities and facilities outlined in the policy. Policies are required to be created an awareness among the employees. The employees know their proper place in the organization. This gives them awareness and confidence while working in the organization. Uniformity. In organization, different people are working at different levels and face the similar situation and make the decisions, choices which are consistent with the action of the organization. Standards of efficiency. Policy serves as a standards in the execution of the work which we ensures from the employees. Coordinating device. Personal policies help in achieving the coordination, especially actions and decisions of others. It ensures the steady course of action and prevents unwarranted deviation from planned operation. The last one and very important is that control. Policies specify the relationship shared between the organization, management and its employees. It allows members to work towards the achievement of the objectives of the organization without any doubt, friction or conflict. Now let us understand what are the sources of personal policies. Traditions and past experiences, they help a lot. Personal policies of similar concerns are also the source of personal policy while we design. The philosophy of the board directors, suggestions of employees, labor legislation and the policies of the government, trade union and collective bargaining, their experiences, objectives of the organization, international conditions, business environment, day-to-day experience of dealing with the personal problems. All these help us to design or come out with the new personal policy what organization expects. While doing this, let us understand what are the coverage of personal policies. According to the Michael Armstrong, the coverage of personal policies are classified. The first one is social responsibility. In this, the equity, especially treating employees fairly and just by adopting an even-handed approach is very important. It also ensures the consideration of individual circumstances when decisions affect the employee's prospects, security and self-respect. The quality of work life is also the part of social responsibility to increase the interest of the employees in the job and organization. This is done through reducing the job monotony, increasing the varied responsibilities, avoiding the stress, etc. The next one is employment policies, which are designed to provide the equal employment opportunities while selecting the candidates based on the job requirements. The next one is promotion policies, which ensures the demands of the employees for the growth and organizational demands. These policies should be fair and just to all. Fourth one is development policies, which cover the employees, especially training, rewarding, encouraging employees for the self-advancement, etc. These policies cover the areas like career planning, performance appraisal, etc. The next one is relation policies, which cover the different aspects of human relations. These cover policies regarding the motivation, communication, leadership styles, grievance procedures, disciplinary procedures, counseling to employees, etc. These policies also cover industrial relations in which union recognition, union representation, collective bargaining, prevention and settlement of industrial dispute, participative management are also been considered. Friends, we discussed about that what are the sources of it, what are the types of those policies. Now let us understand what are the contents of personal policies. The first one, recruitment or hiring of employees. The second one, manpower planning and development. Third one, training programs. Fourth one, controlling absenteeism. Fifth one, hours of work. Sixth one, conditions of employment. Seventh one, overtime. Eighth one, layoff, termination of services and welfare. The next one is wage policy, motivation and incentives, recognition of trade union, collective bargaining and workers' participation in management. Promotion, demotion and transfer all are nothing but the part of your personal policies. These are formulated by the personal manager. At the same time, top management is also ultimately responsible for giving the sanction to such policies. Workers, once we design the policies, are required to be informed about these policies either in group meetings or through the booklets. Friends, personal policies must cover all the areas of manpower management. So now let us understand in detail what the personal policies are and how they cover the various areas of manpower management. The first one which we are going to talk on is recruitment and selection, that is employment policy. Here in this case, the policy defines minimum qualifications required in prospective employees, the source from where the labor supply will be available, selection test, The next one is promotion policy. In promotion policy, the tenure, year of experience, qualifications are also very well defined, and which becomes the guideline for taking the decision. The third one is training policy. It covers the induction, what type of training programs, training of whom, executives, managers, or which layers are being discussed in training policies. Wage policy includes minimum wages, take care of non-financial incentives, incentive plans, bonus, profit sharing, etc. The next one is demotion and termination policy. If the people are not performing up to the mark, how we are going to demote them or terminate them from the organization. That policy is also very well crafted in organization. The next one is working conditions and motivation policies, which are as per the law, right, as per the Factories Act 1948, how it is been to be given to the worker, that conditions are being discussed in this policies. Welfare policy, again abiding the law, understanding the role of government, their legislation is being considered while designing the welfare policy. Integration policy, which covers processing of grievances, recognition of union, workers' participation in management, all are the part of integration policy. This is nothing but to communicate the personal policy. You will find in organization, the brochure is published in many organizations, policy manuals are distributed to the managers, supervisors, and also to the employees. So, while we do this, how we do it? These are the information sources which help us to take decision to design the policy. So, how do we formulate the policy? So, there are certain steps involved into it. So, let us understand one by one. The first one is identifying the need. Initially, important areas of personal management where we discussed about, that is recruitment, selection, training, compensation, bargaining, everything is required to be considered, right, and then which we have to design the policy formulation which can be clearly spelled out. The next one is additional policy guidelines can come at any stage depending on the recurrence of ticklish issues at the various levels. That is also to be considered while formulating the policy. While doing this, the next step is very important, that is collecting the data. Once the priority areas are listed, the steps should be taken to collect facts before formulating a policy. Various sources could be tapped for these purposes, such as companies' records, past practices, survey of industry practices, experience of personnel handling various issues, top management philosophy, organizational culture, employee aspirations, and changing economic, social and legislative environment, etc. required to be considered as a data while formulating the policy. The next step in formulating the policy is specifying the alternatives. Policy alternatives should be emerge clearly after collecting relevant data from various sources. These have to be evaluated carefully in terms of their contribution to the organizational objectives. It is always better to involve people at various levels, especially those who are going to use and live with such policies. Top management should put the stamp of approval only when everything is above board and the stated policy clearly reflects the organizational priorities. The next one is communicating the policy, very important step. To gain the approval at various levels, the formulated policy should be communicated throughout the organization. Policy manual, in-house journal and discussions with the people at various levels may be used to reach out to the employees quickly. Special coaching programs can also inform people about the manner of application. The last step is evaluating the policy. Personal policies to be effective must be reviewed, evaluated and controlled regularly against certain established standards. Evaluation helps to determine the changes in existing policies. All these policies should be reviewed annually and some policies should be reviewed at specific times. For example, when there is a collective bargaining or after strike, lockout, etc. Departmental policies may be reviewed through the participation of all employees. Outside consultants or experts from other organizations may be engaged to review the crucial policies. Adequate care should be taken to review the policies in the various situations, like employees offer the suggestions, employee express the grievances, unsatisfactory reports about the employee's performance and behavior. Company plans for the change like expansion, diversification and contraction, adoption of new technology and introduction of new methods. We need to take those things in mind. Personal policies to be effective should have a favorable impact on the objectives and functions of personnel management or human resource management and help the parties which are concerned in the department. Friends, while doing this, we also need to understand that what is the impact of personal policies. The systems and methods of HRM are mostly based on personal policies. Hence, apprising the impact of personal policies to the employees, organization and society at large is must. The impact of personal policies can be measured in terms of cost and benefit to employees and the organization. HR policies help the organization in terms of attainment of organizational goals, increasing the efficiency, adaptability and achieving of long run results. Further, organizational and human outcomes such as turnover, absenteeism and commitment are also the result of human resource policies. They help the employees to have awareness and clear idea about the various programs. HRM policies also affect the society. Some HRM policies affect commonly the individual, the organization and the society. They relate to the employee's health, psychological and physical well-being. Various HRM policies or personal policies result in commitment, competence, cost effectiveness and congruence with the organizational goals. These human resource outcomes lead to the long-term consequence like individual well-being, organizational effectiveness and social well-being also. The impact of policies can be measured through their outcomes, that is commitment of the employee towards the organization. This can be evaluated through the tenure or length of series of an employee, absenteeism, employee attitude towards the job, organization, etc. Thus, friends, we have come to the end of the session. So, to conclude this, what we discussed today, personal policies are guides to the action. They serve as roadmap for the managers on number of issues such as recruitment, selection, training and promotion. Not only that, grievances also. They cover almost all the functions of personal management. A good personal policy should be easy to understand based on the facts, equitable, reasonably flexible, precise and related to the objectives. The personal policy formulation is a process of 5 steps: need for classification, data collection, specification of alternatives and communication of policy, and the last one is evaluation of policies. Friends, hope you have take away from this session. Thank you.